When I was up here last year, I spoke about the flooding we just experienced in September of 2013, so it'd be a good opportunity to update you on kind of where we are with our recovery on that, particularly some of the financial assistance that Denver's gotten as a result of this. Where the big money is, as you can see up there, is in the community development block grants, which are just now starting to roll out. Denver didn't get anything in the first round, which no surprise there. All that money went to Boulder and Larimer and Weld counties and people who were the hardest hit, as it should, totally appropriate. But we have asked for about $8 million in projects from the follow-on phases, and we're waiting to see where that goes. And then we've also gotten about $400,000 from the Denver Urban Air Security Initiative, again for some mitigation projects, which is a great lead into what I actually want to talk about today, which is the Denver Urban Area Security Initiative program. So this is usually I talk more on kind of the emergency management side. This is the Homeland Security side of the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. It's a federal Homeland Security grant program that we receive and administer on behalf of the metro area. It was created by Congress to help focus our preparedness dollars on our major metro areas that are most at risk of terrorism, and Denver being one of the cities on that list. So what do we do with that money? What do we spend your tax dollars on? So I'm just going to throw out a few examples here. We've bought a number of armored vehicles, Bearcats and Bear vehicles for law enforcement agencies throughout the metro area. These have been used in responses to include the Aurora Theater shooting. Douglas County's Bearcat got involved in an active shooter situation about literally the week after they received it, and the sheriff there credited it with saving the lives of a number of officers and civilians. Well, you can't respond together if you can't talk together. So one of our big projects over the last decade or so has been improving our ability to communicate interoperably. Most of you in uniform in the room here are familiar with Network First, which is basically it's a hardwired bridge that any response agency in that 10-county metro area, if they need to talk to another agency that has different radios, all they got to do, they come up on, you say, okay, we're all going to go to Blue 1 on Network First. Everybody has that program, you switch, and everybody can talk on that channel regardless of what radios they have, what vendor they're on, if they're on UHF or VHF or whatever. Everybody in the metro area can talk. That's a real-world project that is in use every day, or at least every week, in Denver right now. And then ISSI is basically the next generation that's going to do the same thing, only better, faster, smarter. It's not just about buying toys, though, and I want to stress that, although it's hard. I don't have cool pictures of this stuff, but we do the money and the equipment purchases are really just, from my perspective, just what gets everyone to come to the table so we can go through a regional planning process. So we go through things like the threat hazard identification and risk assessment, which is looking at what are the hazards that threaten our region, where are we at risk of them, and what can we do to buy down our vulnerabilities in those areas. Training. If I were to go through and try and list even a fraction of all the training that we have purchased through these programs, it would be about 1 point font, and I still wouldn't be able to get through about 10% of it. We literally can't calculate how many hours of training we have provided through these grants. So we'll just say it's a lot and move on from there. Then we validate those plans and that training through exercises. So one of the big ones we had in 2008 was Operation Mountain Guardian, which is, I believe, still the largest emergency response exercise in the Rocky Mountain area. Had over 2,000 responders and staff on that exercise. So simulating a Mumbai-style attack, for those of you who are familiar with that attack, but multiple attacks on 5 different locations throughout the metro area. So we had tactical teams from Denver working alongside hazardous materials teams from Aurora, and paramedics from Jefferson County, and all working and cooperating together. It was quite an exercise. As a follow-on to this, we're working with all our EMT providers in the region to make sure their plans are updated so they know how to operate in that environment, and we're using some of those grant dollars to buy some protective equipment for our EMTs so that they can go in and operate in a hot zone and feel safe.